Today on Yester Kitchen, we are going to wrap up our series celebrating Sunset and HP Book cookbooks, and we are going to make one fabulous dish. You're going to love it. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Jill and this is Yester Kitchen. If you're new here, welcome. It would be an honor to have you join us as we explore retro history through food. Oh my God, really, 30s to the 80s. Love it so much, and I'm so happy you do too. So today we've been talking about the HP cookbooks and the Sunset cookbooks for a while now. Maybe a few episodes. And today we're gonna wrap up with my personal favorite Sunset book, which is Cooking with Wine. I mean, the 70s, come on. These books were huge in the 70s. The main difference between Sunset cookbooks and HP cookbooks, because they looked exactly alike, was that Sunset cookbooks published themselves. So there's never an author. It's just, these are all by Sunset. HP books were where they invited authors and they published cookbooks for authors. They also published cookbooks for food manufacturers such as Uncle Ben's Rice, which we just did. This cookbook is from 1973 and oh my God, it was $1.95. When do you see that anymore? Anyway, in this cookbook, we will find, are you ready? Pork balls with cheese dip. How can you not make a pork ball? And no, it has nothing to do with bull testicles or pig testicles. It has to do with just beautiful, beautiful meatballs. So here's what we're gonna do. I have in my pan, it's already started, I have 2 tablespoons of butter. There we go. That's all nice and melted. And how we're gonna start this recipe, super easy. I have a 1/4 cup of chopped onions that are gonna go in. Now we're just gonna go ahead and saute these 5-8 minutes, and we'll be back when they're golden. So it's been about 4 minutes and our onions are nice and golden. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this out of the way and we're gonna bring in our happy little mixing bowl. And all we're gonna do is take a slotted spoon and take our pan, and you're gonna take these onions out of the butter. It's okay if there's a little butter left in them when they go into the bowl, but what you're doing is you wanna reserve this butter because we're gonna make a sauce out of it, and that is exactly where our dip is coming from, which is cheese. You're gonna love it. Got like a little bit left. Give me a second to get rid of this pan and this burner, and we're going on to the next step. Okay, as I said, these pork balls have nothing to do with prairie oysters. They are all about the meatball and they're all pork, and there's a very interesting pork in here, so check this out. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our bowl and we're gonna add 1/2 pound of ground pork. And I just wanna kind of mush it up in there just like that. The next thing you want is 1 pound of fully cooked ham ground. Now here's what I did. I went to the store, I bought a 1 pound package of diced ham. You can even get whole ham and dice it yourself. I put it in my food processor. You don't want to turn it on because it'll turn into a paste, but you want to pulse it. Just pulse, 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 pulse until you have your ham that is truly ground. And it's already cooked. In we go, all of it. Let's get this going a little bit. And now we're gonna add a few things to make them meatballs. First thing I have is 1/3 cup of milk. You can really use any kind of milk you want. I have 2 eggs. Woo! And I have 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. Now I know, I've said it before, I always make my own breadcrumbs. You know, we don't eat the ends of breads, so they always kind of get thrown away. Anytime I have those, or a little tiny piece that's not gonna really, no one's gonna want it, I throw it in my food processor. You can throw it in your blender too. Whirl it up, turn it into crumbs. They store beautifully in the freezer, and you take them out when you need them. And that's what I've got. So now we get to play with our food, which is my favorite part. So when you're mixing this thing up, you wanna make sure everything is absolutely incorporated. But you don't really need to mix a ton. Just until it's just, well, you can feel it. Everything is mushed together. The eggs are coating everything. The breadcrumbs are coating everything. I'm just gonna mix this for a few more minutes to make sure it's all incorporated, and I'll be right back with clean hands. Okay, our mixture is totally blended. Take a look. Is that beautiful? It's just all well blended. So now all that's left is to make some balls. By the way, my very retro oven is set at 500. We do cook it high. And I will tell you, if you kept your hands wet, it's gonna make it a lot easier. Oh, I don't know. These are appetizer meatballs, so what is that? Maybe about an inch and a half. So you're just gonna keep going here until you use up your mixture. So we'll be right back when that happens, and it will be cheese sauce time. And just like that, our meatballs are done. Mine made 24. You could go a little smaller and get more. It just depends on what you want to do. But these will look beautiful on a toothpick or on a plate with a fork. It doesn't matter because these are fabulous. And we're going to put them in the oven right now between 7 and 10 minutes. You want them on 500. You want to watch them. And then once you see they're starting to brown on top, take your happy little tongs and flip them on over. Let them cook on the other side. You want them browned. Well, you want them cooked, but remember, most of it is cooked ham, so the pork will go fast. You want them cooked through, and you want them browned. So I'm gonna go do that, and when we're done, we're gonna put them in an oven-proof bowl, temperature to warm, and just keep them in there while we make our cheese dip. See you in a few. So our meatballs are done. My retro oven is not exactly calibrated, and my meatballs are probably bigger than they should be. So mine took 20 minutes. You wanna make sure they are cooked through because you are dealing with raw pork, although the ham is already cooked. And so the ham is gonna remain that ham color. So you are gonna see some pink in the meatballs, but you just take one, taste it. That's how you know if it's done. Just cut it in half and you can tell. But then, this flavor combination, if you've never had ham in a meatball, you gotta try it. Here are my meatballs. Look how beautiful they are. All ready for dipping. So now we're gonna make the dip. Give me a second, I'm gonna put these in there at the lowest, just so it stays warm. Okay, so our dip is made with Camembert cheese. If you don't know what Camembert cheese is, it's very similar to Brie. The main difference is Brie is milder and smoother, and Camembert is a little more full flavored, a little more rustic, but they both have that white rind on the outside, which is mold. Don't worry, you can eat it, but you do want to cut off most of it. So here's what I did. I took my Brie cheese, I cut it in half, and then I just took my knife and I took away all that mold. Don't worry if you can't get it all. If there's a little left, you'll be fine. I promise you. They won't put it on cheese if it's gonna kill you, right? Cut half the wheel in wedges. That's 4 ounces. A normal Camembert wheel is 8 ounces. It's about that big. So we're gonna cut it in half, and here's what I have. See, here are my wedges of Camembert, and as you can see, some of the rind still got left on. Totally fine. Okay, remember our butter from our onions? We have our butter. It's all in there. And we just warmed it up again, so now it's kind of toasty. Now we're gonna make a roux, a little thickening agent. We've done it so many times. So into my butter, I have 2 tablespoons of flour, and there it goes. Get out your trusty whisk, and you just wanna whisk it and whisk it and whisk it until it's all completely incorporated. And maybe a few more extra minutes on the fire, because what that does is it gets the raw taste out of the flour. So you're really not tasting that, you know what I'm talking about. You just have a beautiful butter thickener right here with probably a little bit of leftover onions, which can't be a bad thing. Okay, and now that we've cooked this for a little bit, you're gonna add 3/4 cup of chicken stock or broth, whatever you like. And this is a cooking with wine cookbook, right? So we need wine. And we have 1/2 cup of dry white wine. Chardonnay is beautiful, or any wine that you actually really like the taste of. I keep saying when you cook with wine, cook with something you like. Don't just buy it because it's cheap, because that taste of the wine is still gonna be in your sauce. So we're gonna cook this for a few minutes until it starts to thicken up. And then we're gonna add in our cheese, and then we're gonna bring back our meatballs. And speaking of meatballs, so popular in the 70s, rarely a 1970s cocktail party or dinner party for that matter without meatballs. They're easy to make. They're a crowd pleaser. There's so many variations, but I bet you've never tried this. So thank you 1970s once again for always gracing us with amazing, amazing recipes. God, I love cooking from the past. Okay, let's cook this for a few and get a little thick. And as you can see, it's just starting to get thick, which is exactly where you want it. And now for the pièce de résistance, the Camembert. In it goes. You can actually turn your fire down because your sauce is so hot, it'll melt the Camembert. So now all we're gonna do is stir until all the Camembert is melted. Can you use Brie in this? Yes. Do you want to use Brie in this? Probably not, because you want the authentic recipe. If all you have is Brie, can you use Brie in this? You'll be fine. Remember, this is cooking. This is not a science. Baking is a science, and I have high respect for bakers. But this is cooking. Very simple, very customizable, very much to your individual taste, which is why I love to hear when I make recipes and you guys know them and you tell me what you do with them. I love to hear that. I love to hear how these original recipes have morphed through families over time. Oh my God, I wish you were here. This smells amazing. Hey, give me just a few minutes to just completely melt this and we are ready for service. Okay, you ready for this? Here's our meatballs. Here's our cheese sauce. This cheese sauce is worth the price of admission. Even if you aren't sure about the meatballs, although I highly recommend it because they go great with the meatballs. This cheese sauce in fries, over chicken, in a baked potato, on your finger, whatever, it's an amazing sauce. So now all that's left is to take a meatball and take some cheese sauce and thank the 1970s and all these glorious Sunset books. I counted about 33 Sunset and HP books together in my collection. It was so hard to pick recipes because I didn't want to go on and on week after week with these books. But oh my God, if you ever have a chance to get your hands on a Sunset or an HP book from the 1970s, grab it. They're fabulous. They're absolutely fabulous. Okay, I cannot wait any longer. Oh my God. It has a cheese fondue quality because it has the wine in it, but the consistency of the meatball, because of the ground ham, is just very solid but crumbly in your mouth is the best way I can describe it. They're different. They're fabulous. OMG, you gotta try them. Seriously. Make something from the past. I know you want to because you're always here with me every week. And by the way, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here every week with me. I really appreciate it. It truly means the world to me. If you would like to explore more dishes from your childhood or just the past, I invite you to subscribe. I release new videos every week. In the meantime, there is some more retro dishes for you. And remember, every dish, even pork balls and cheese dip with Camembert, has a story. I will see you in the next video.